because you have the air coming in and going down and going up in an exhaust pipe. Do you remember why we want a net on top of the exhaust pipe?
So flies can't get out.
Flies think it's flies come through, so they try to go up and then just die.
Right.
They get jammed there, and they want to they don't have a frame big enough to thing. Just slide back down and exit another way. They just
Got
go
it,
flying, pumping through. Why do they move it?
So escape flies always go.
So, we just, talk about how it's important to have a latrine clean. And I don't know, a lot of latrines smell, and I just don't understand. They all have ash, they all burn charcoal. And so we encourage them to throw ash in their latrine. I don't know if we have any luck doing that, but
doesn't that work as a disinfectant and stop the fermentation and digestion of the fecal material?
I don't know,
No,
it
it works
stops
great.
the smell.
It turns into lye and it destroys it.
Yeah, it's lye and
Yeah,
you can use it for making soap.
we used to do it all the time when we had that.
On the next page, I'm just kind of galloping through here. The top is a tippy tap, and that's also, you can Google how to make a tippy tap. It's a way to have a wash area. Yeah, and it works pretty good. Okay, the next page. Okay, who knows how long you're supposed to wash your hands in soap?
20 seconds. I learned 30.
How do you know that?
30. You go to third grade.
David.
20, yeah, 20 seconds. Oh, and our nurse here wants me to tell you that you need, well, he says you need to take off your jewelry, but
To begin with?
just for hand washing for food or something, I don't know. So, but you want to make sure that you get between your fingers, your nails, your wrists, and 20 seconds is quite a long time. Each table, make a hand washing song that is 20 seconds long. And you're going to sing it to the rest of us.
That's the whole.
Please, no.
All day long.
About 20 seconds, you guys say.
No, can you give me a pad of paper?
1,000.
No, we gotta find a song that's a common song that we can sing, like, or happy on birthday.
Well, sure.
Wash your hands. Everyone can sing today, every single day. Wash your hands every single day. No, you two go to the song.
Yeah, that's all.
It's summer, not Christmas.
If you're happy and you know.
That whole thing you just did. Like if you have.
Well, I mean, it has multiple parts. You know, once in the middle, you didn't have the second thing.
Yeah, the funeral march of happy and you know. If you're happy and you know it. You're right.
The other part could be the top part. It could be like.
Oh no!
Los vinos, Maquilla.
What's funny is you were saying like happy birthdays that too, and everybody was saying as well.
Maquilla.
That's what they're taught in elementary school. Is happy birthday is 22nd.
I think there's, yeah, I think
Hey, do we have a volunteer group?
Make it sober.
He doesn't do it.
You want to start it?
What?
Go ahead. Go, yeah. Now,
One,
right?
two, three.
If
you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands.
Si tienes buena salud, tienes necesario que lavas, es necesario que lavas tus manos.
Do we make it?
Perfect. You just have to remember how slow.
Exactly. It's a funeral march kind of song.
Scriptures stole our song.
Oh no.
They must have overheard it.
They must have.
If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. Scrub, scrub, scrub. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. Scrub, scrub, scrub. If you're happy and you know it, and you really want to show it. If you're happy and you know it, wash your hands. Scrub, scrub, scrub.
Scrub, scrub.
Close. About 18 minutes. Seconds. 18 seconds.
It felt
Oh,
like
yeah, please.
Okay, we got this.
Okay,
ready?
Listen to the champion over here.
No, I got it. Okay, ready? Okay. Start. Three, 2, 1.
Wash your hands, rub them clean, take off all your jewelry bands. Wash your hands, rub them clean, take off all your jewelry bands.
20
seconds! Done! 20 seconds!
Completely original.
20 seconds! I don't even know, but you guys asked for 20 seconds. That was 20 seconds.
over here.
Actually, it was 19 more.
More song.
It's kind of simple.
3, 2, 1, go.
Wash, wash, wash your hands until they are clean. Scrub them, scrub them, scrub them, scrub them, and now you're ready to eat.
And again. Wash, wash, wash your hands until they are clean. Scrub them, scrub them, scrub them, scrub them, now you're ready to eat.
That's
Okay.
20 seconds.
How long was that?
It was about 22 seconds.
Okay.
Yeah, they held up that part.
Yeah, just a small point of information is a lot of places they think they're being really healthy and stuff because they have an air blower that you dry your hands. Actually, it's the wiping with a towel that gets rid of the final germs. Yeah.
That's why those the towel under one condition that it's individual and then still. Because when you wipe off the germs with the towel, the germs sit on the towel.
Yeah.
And we are talking here about one country in addition.
Yeah.
So it's not freezing there, and that's always a good criterion to check the cleanliness of washcloths and towels is just to go smell.
Yeah,
When
right.
there's a smell, then there's germs on it.
Yeah. Well, our discussion is
It's
supposed
not an easy solution.
Yeah.
I think still, and I go back to the lesson from the epidemiologist on Ebola 3 months ago in Olympia. He said thorough washing and
hair drying.
because the towel, it's good once, twice, and if it's your
Unless it's your personal towel.
it's one of the like handles, faucets, soap bars, and towels, handshakes,
Yeah.
rubbing elbows. Handshakes are the most most frequently used rituals.
Okay, we're supposed to key in on how about doing business in our environments that we've been in. And Wayne, you want to contribute a little bit about what you found trying to work in Uganda and Burundi and whatever you ran into in India?
Well,
Come on up here. I know that there's quite a difference between all three of them, basically.
so I don't know if I'm really qualified to address this too much. Most of you have done more world traveling than I have, but in my experience has been somewhat sequestered. The training we did in northern Uganda was through a Catholic missionary out of Denver, and during that week-long training we were given time to teach the Biosand Filter class, and we set up we set up people that we thought could manage that and carry on the business. In Rutuvo, Burundi, we actually elected officers to a co-op that could address both a working business in Rutuvo and Bujumbura. But to my knowledge, I don't think either one of those places has actually done much of anything. I know in Burundi it was real difficult for them to seek government licensing to actually produce the filters. That was their complaint anyway.
Okay.
So when you are setting people up in a small business, you've got go to the ministry and you've got some kind of licensing?
The most generally you don't, because these are NGO projects, and you're flying under the radar of the government anyway. So they don't pay much attention to you unless you really do something grossly wrong or you're very successful. And so if you are very successful, they're right there to take credit for it. And the politicians love it. And that's why when we begin a program, do a kickoff, we generally have members of the government attending, and they can see how wonderful it is, and then they can tell everyone what a wonderful job they've done. And so you let them play the game, their game as far as that's concerned. And like I said, no problems yet. The only difficulty in Uganda. Uganda is much more of a police state than Kenya is, in that they like to know everything that's going on. How come there's a group of people, more than 5 or 6 people here? And things like that. So if they're comfortable, you don't have to do anything. But if they're uncomfortable, you've got questions to answer.
Well, that was actually the case in Rutuvo, Burundi. The couple that we went with from Everett, Washington, were very clear that they got out to see the mayor of the town to basically ask his blessing, because he thought that if we started anything, we would immediately be shut down before we even got started. Robin.
So, one of the things that I'd like to mention one of our challenges, I think, was that they wound up choosing the guy from Bujumbura to be the lead in both the project in the country and in the city. Now I would actually suggest that, a 3-hour drive on bumpy roads in one of those countries is not good to have your lead person that far away. They really should have chosen a lead in the village also.
Yeah, you're right. And one of the things that in doing business over there, people really find this out because, like for pump projects, these don't take very many people to be involved in it. Like a water filter project, you set up an organization and you've got a way controlling things like that. But many times people have gone in to do a project, and the guy that was there helping them all the time, they said, well, put him in charge. He's the one that knows everything about this. But he might be totally out of it as far as the community is concerned. His relationship to the people may not be good. And he may do that every time an NGO shows up that happens to get more money than anybody else. And so let the community be involved with who's going to be in charge of things like that. If you have a situation where there is an in-charge issue.
So, when we did a training in North India, the government decided this was a really good thing, and they had a giant ceremony with many reporters and lots of people gathered for an audience so that I could sign together with other folks in agreement with the government that they were going to produce 16 million biosand filters.
16 million?
16 million in 5 years. And of course, they haven't produced a single one, and I knew they weren't going to produce a single one, and that was just fine. The important thing that happened was, so everybody was sort of sitting around at this table for photo ops and whatever, but the biggest photo op is I had a half-size filter with me, and I took dirty water from the Ganga and poured it in and drank it. And the faces went, and the minister, we have pictures in the paper, the minister going, kind of like that. And the fact that the Muzungu, or in India, the Ferengi in Ethiopia or whatever, but the pinky gray-faced person would use the water was particularly important. When I worked with programs, we don't assume that the government, any either local or state or federal governments, will ever go forward with their promises. If they do, it's great. We've gotten terrific cooperation, in particular in Rwanda, with the local government, not with the federal government, who've been supplying us with space and food and all kinds of fun stuff, and now are ordering filters themselves. But we kind of have to assume, benign neglect is just fine.
Okay.
One of our misconceptions when we first went to Kenya was that people knew how to market. And we thought, well, they grow things and they sell them, so they must know how to do this. But they grow tomatoes and they take it to the edge of the road and they sit there. And they may or may not make an attractive arrangement. That's kind of the more advanced, is balancing the tomatoes and having the best sides out. But nobody really markets. You just sit by the side of the road and you visit with your neighbor, and maybe you trade food before you go home.
And they're selling the same thing you are.
Yeah. So we've literally had marketing classes where we talk about, creating a need and then filling the need and that kind of just simple marketing things. And so that was an important step that we didn't know about when we first started. Now in our trainings, we talk more about marketing and how to do it and who's going to be their salespeople and stuff like that.
What's interesting is that Safaricom was the largest communications company in Kenya. They advertise all the time on everything. They paint buildings. They paint their name on everything. They make sure that you've got just many amenities, and they've got contests going on, things like this. And people don't even recognize this as advertising and as promotion. They're rather naive about marketing. So in our conference as well, we talk about different kinds of advertising, and Safaricom doesn't even come up. They don't recognize it. So then I get back to talking to them. Now you're getting bombarded every day from one company that paints buildings green. And finally they'll think, oh, Safaricom does that. Well, why do they do that? You know, and they finally have to get to the understanding that this is advertising and that's what you have to do if you want to promote your product. But you don't have to do it to the extent that Safaricom does. Just go out, shake hands, meet people, and talk with them, and show them what you have. You know, it's just a very
Just be well.
yeah, and just be well, right? And but these are things that we have to, if we want a successful project, for people to understand that there's more to it than just sitting by the roadside and waiting for somebody to come by. Yes.
Suzanne, you just said just be well. I was just thinking that if you have a neighborhood neighbors, so one family has the filter, that must promote itself in your family.
Yes, it does. It does, right? Yeah, and that's one important part about getting more saturation into a market area, and that suddenly nearly everybody's well, but how come my family isn't? And this is all it takes, you know.
I think we need to start keeping better track of different ways groups start in their marketing strategies. But we talked a lot about Jean Smith, but what she's done is she starts groups of mostly widows, and they make clothes. And I actually have some of her clothes for sale. And then they take she sells most of the things in the States, but a third of the money goes to the person that sewed it. A third of the money goes to buy more material, and a third of the money goes to the co-op. And then the co-op itself can decide if they want to buy goats or chickens or how they want to spend their money. And so Jean had a Biosand water filter in her house, and she decided that water really was good. And so then she started restoring springs, and like she has the knowledge, but obviously she's an older lady and she can't like dig and stuff. The community has to help restore the spring, and then she puts a Biosand water filter in a widow's house near the spring with the agreement that that widow will take care of it and everyone can use it. So now people in the community really want Biosand water filters, and she's writing proposals to Friendly Water that we do trainings with those widows groups, and then they will sell the filters. So that's a completely new way of doing business, but it's just interesting how, if you just sort of relax and sit back, ways come into being. So, but Dell needs to tell you about a whole thing where a whole village is getting Biosand water filters, 1,000 homes. And this is, again, a completely different plan, and it's now completely different than our original plan, but that's the way things flow. Anyway, there's no magic. There's no one way to do anything. When I was raising foster kids, I was always looking for the one thing that would make it easy. There's no magic wand. We just talked a little bit about latrines, and in the cost website there's a whole notebook on how to build latrines. I have taken that training and I know more about latrines than I want to know. But if you want to discuss some different floors for latrines, a domed floor works really well and doesn't need reinforcement.